But first, friends with benefits. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Now, just as when her husband was messing around with a White House intern, Hillary Clinton thought the rules of government, rules of conduct didn't apply to her.
Can you tell me the story of how you decided to delete 33,000 emails and how that deletion was executed?
Well, let's start from the beginning. Everything I did was permitted. There was no law, there was no regulation, there was nothing that did not give me the full authority to decide how I was going to communicate.
Typical Clinton. Depends on what the meaning of the word permitted is. The truth is, what she did stunk to high heaven. The State Department Inspector General concluded her private server located in her bathroom didn't automatically archive her emails and violated the intent of the Federal Records Act. But that's not all. The National Archives and Records Administration said her use of a private email was also improper. Then there was a potential violation of 18 U.S.C. 793 involving the handling of classified information because her system was not secure. Dozens of emails later found on her server were retroactively marked classified, some at the top secret level. Now, she didn't bother getting State Department permission either to use her private server, violating her own department's rules. Then the biggie, destruction of federal records under 18 U.S.C. 2071. But she claims the 33,000 emails she deleted were all personal.
We went through a thorough process to identify all of my work-related emails and deliver them to the State Department. At the end, I chose not to keep my private, personal emails. Emails about planning Chelsea's wedding or my mother's funeral arrangements, condolence notes to friends, as well as yoga routines, family vacations, the other things you typically find in inboxes.
Of course, I don't know about you, but I don't want to think about Hillary and yoga at all. Of course, there was no way, though, of confirming any of what she said. Emails were gone. Maybe Hillary was so brazen, though, because she knew that she'd always get bailed out by her friends.
Although there is evidence of potential violations of the statutes regarding the handling of classified information, our judgment is that no reasonable prosecutor would bring such a case. Prosecutors necessarily weigh a number of factors before deciding whether to bring charges. There are obvious considerations like the strength of the evidence, especially regarding intent. Responsible decisions also consider the context of a person's actions and how similar situations have been handled in the past.
Well, now, it looks like his big investigation missed quite a bit. Newly declassified documents show that Comey and company failed to ask and follow up on key questions. Senator Grassley's report cites an extreme lack of effort and due diligence in the investigation of Hillary's private server and email handling. Here's the kicker. The FBI obtained thumb drives involving Hillary's servers, but Comey and others at the FBI failed to perform additional targeted searches of the drives. The thumb drives reportedly were never reviewed during the investigation, but contained highly sensitive information exfiltrated from U.S. government agencies, including the Department of State, as well as then-President Barack Obama's emails and potentially congressional information. Oh, this gets better and better. So who was part of the FBI, crack FBI team that conveniently didn't do the digging themselves into these thumb drives? Because those are really complicated, the thumb drives. Well, in addition to Comey, it was like old home week. It was then Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe and FBI Special Agent Peter Strzok, along with others. Come on, it all makes sense now. But this was all a joke to Hillary.
Did you wipe the server?
What, like with a cloth or something? No. Well, no.
How it works digitally? Did you try to wipe the whole server?
I don't know how it works digitally at all.
I have other people do that for me. She just wanted to carry one phone. It was nothing more, nothing less.
When I got to work as Secretary of State, I opted for convenience to use my personal email account, which was allowed by the State Department, because I thought it would be easier to carry just one device for my work and for my personal emails instead of two.
But as usual, the truth is always elusive with the Clintons. Because there were many more devices than the two phones. Try 13 devices she used to send emails. But where did they all go? Well, her lawyers at Williams & Connolly could not locate them. Maybe because they were smashed with hammers. One aide, Justin Cooper, told the FBI that he did recall 2 instances where he destroyed Clinton's old mobile devices by breaking them in half or hitting them with a hammer. Trump always knew the truth.
I made a mistake using a private email.
That's for sure.
And if I had to do it over again, I would obviously do it differently. But I'm not going to make any excuses. It was a mistake, and I take responsibility for that.
No, a mistake? Cute. That's cute. But Hillary likely knew she had political allies at the top, so didn't worry. In his tedious memoir, Comey raised questions about then AG Loretta Lynch, remember her, about her impartiality or lack thereof toward Mrs. Clinton. Because her direction was that he call the inquiry into the email server a matter instead of what it was, an investigation. Now, the more we learn about the Clintons and the Obamas, I mean, all these years later, that was a decade ago, guys. But the worse it always gets. But that's what happens when you let the sunlight in. That's what Trump promised to do. And especially on the biggest scandal of them all, Obama and his intel chiefs, when they allegedly manipulated intel assessments to advance the absurd story that Trump was somehow compromised by the Russians.
Obama's been caught directly. So people say, oh, you know, a group. It's not a group. It's Obama. His orders are on the paper. Barack Hussein Obama is the ringleader. Hillary Clinton was right there with him, and so was Sleepy Joe Biden. And so were the rest of them. Comey, Clapper, the whole group.
They all worked to subvert an election, and then when the unthinkable happened, Donald Trump won, they hoped they could still hobble his presidency. And remember, everything they did also bled into the 2020 campaign. Because of Obama, there were far-reaching repercussions from the Russia collusion fraud.
Look, he's guilty. It's not a question. You know, I like to say, let's give it time. It's there. He's guilty. This was treason.
That got Obama's attention. He called Trump's comments ridiculous and a weak attempt at distraction, adding, nothing in the document issued last week undercuts the widely accepted conclusion that Russia worked to influence the 2016 presidential election, but did not successfully manipulate any votes. These findings were affirmed in a 2020 report by the bipartisan Senate Intel Committee, led by then-chairman Marco Rubio. Come on. Obama, Hillary, Comey, Brennan, Clapper, Strzok, Page, Rice, all of them knew exactly what they were doing. The semantic game, President Obama, will not bail you out here. The phony Steele dossier, the FISA court misrepresentations, the hounding of poor Carter Page and George Papadopoulos, come on. The letter from the intel chiefs, it was all a fraud. Now, whatever the DOJ ultimately decides to do with all of this, well, it's up to them. But I think history will ultimately judge all of this for what it was. If you were friends with the Obamas, if you were pals with the Clintons, they protected you. If you weren't, they tried to destroy you. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.